Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Call of the Netherdeep. No spoilers for Call of the Netherdeep in this, and yeah, there's no spoilers. I'm just going to talk. I'm going to talk generally about something important in the Call of the Netherdeep book, and specifically, what we're going to talk about is encounter sketches. Very important new material from Call of the Netherdeep. All right, so an encounter sketch. So I want to talk about this, explain why this is important, what purpose it serves, and how you can use these in your game. So one, Call of the Netherdeep. Truly, just as I'm reading this thing, I really think. I was so excited about Strixhaven, and man, I ran that thing. It was an incredible book. Now I'm just super excited about this Call of the Netherdeep, and I'm like, am I just excited because this is the latest book? I think the reason I'm so excited about these books is I just think Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, unlike any edition it's ever come before it, is just hitting every stride and running like crazy. It's all sitting on top of Mike Merle's incredible work on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and I think this edition is just hitting its stride and is absolutely spectacular. And Wizards of the Coast did the work and got Matthew Mercer, I think inarguably the best dungeon master on the planet, right? Like, he's achieved more than any other dungeon master has. There's nobody even comes close. Frankly, I think he's the only famous dungeon master in the world, right? Like, am I right? Like, who's the best, most famous dungeon master? I don't know, right? Like, and you can't say Chris Perkins because he's a designer, right, or whatever. So, Matthew Mercer really is an incredible dungeon master, and he's really brought a lot in this Call of the Netherdeep, and so it's just amazing, right? So one of the things they did in this book that I was really blown away with are these encounter scenes, right? These encounter sketches, right? So go to Call of the Netherdeep, go to page 53, okay? On page 53, you will find a 1d10 table that is 10 encounters for Bazzoxan. Let's talk about Bazzoxan. Critical Role World, Dungeons and Dragons World, Critical Role World, Exandria. Wildmount, that is a continent in Exandria. Xhorhas, that is the monster region of Wildmount, right? And it is ruled by the Kryn dynasty. We're learning, and Call of the Netherdeep really brings us Kryn dynasty, right? We learned a lot about Dwendalia, right, in Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, but Call of the Netherdeep is really going deep on Xhorhas, this monster kingdom, monster queendom. It has a drow queen, right, and she worships the Luxon, right. So Bazzoxan is a hellmouth. It's literally the opening it's a rupture where hell is like pushing demons into Xhorhas, right? Specifically through this temple called Betrayer's Rise, right? So we have all this, and basically the way that Matthew Mercer shows us Bazzoxan is through these 10 encounter sketches. So it's really beautiful because I almost never use random tables. I don't roll randomly. I'll read it and I'll choose the best one. I want the best for my players. I don't like really rolling random stuff, right? However, I'm highly in favor of random tables. And the reason why is some people aren't like me. They like a random spirit. They like to be able to just roll a die and something happens, right? I'm for that. That's cool. It's okay, right? And I think these tables, when you are presenting your world through random tables, this hugs Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition, hugs Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, hugs Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition, hugs Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, hugs the Legacy editions, right? And it's a way for us to remember and give love and attention to the older editions, but not play them. And that is Dungeons & Dragons now, right? Like, play D&D now. Honor Gary Gygax. Make sure that D&D never dies. Nothing you can do honors Gary Gygax more than playing D&D now, keeping it alive, keeping it relevant, right? But we need to honor the old the old versions, but we shouldn't play them. That's my take. All right, and it's for a reason, because I got goals. I got D&D goals, right? I want D&D to never die, and I will tell you, I really think that if you play 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E, you're helping the game to die, right? You're saying, well, I'm not going to spend my money on the current thing to make sure that the people who build Dungeons and Dragons can feed their family and have health care, right? Like, it's a thing, right? Like, get on it. D&D now, it's important. All right. So basically, but this is a way. So these random encounters tables, it's very old school. It's very old school Dungeons and Dragons, right? So and I'm for honoring that. I'm just not for playing it, right? All right. So these encounter sketches are beautiful. They are so good in Call of the Netherdeep. And so what are they and why are they important? Let me explain one, right? So here I'll just say one for you, right? And it says a neutral good, a lawful neutral dwarf acolyte sits in a corner of a tavern weeping, holding a helm to her chest. That's it. That's the whole encounter, right? Like, and all of them are like this. Now, why is this so important? So one, this is a scene. This is an encounter, right? And so any good dungeon master can that's enough. That's enough to go. Like, we're in, right? Like, and like you're like, well, I don't have a name. Well, you can pull that right out of Xanathar's, okay? And like, so you're up and running, and you don't even have to come up with a name. There's literally 300 names at the end of Xanathar's, and you can pull it right out and go, right? And you don't even have to know when you start this, right? The player characters are going to come in and they're like, hey, what's wrong, right? Now, one of your player characters may add something. They're like, are you upset about the gibbering mouthers that killed that guard? And she's like, yes, that guard was my brother, right? Or you can come up with it yourself on the spot. It's really exciting and fresh and new and cool, right? And this is fantastic because there's 10 of these things, right? And when you read this encounter table, it just beautifully shows you Bazzoxan. It shows you this city in Xhorhas, right? And rather than saying, this district has blah, 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 right? Because nobody wants that anymore. Like, it was fun in the 80s and 90s, but millennials and Gen Zs are reading these things now, and they don't got a long attention span. It's not their fault. It's because of, how, we put phones in their hands when they were 8. It's all on us, right? But this is a much better way to craft and shape and build a city in Dungeons and Dragons. Now, why is it better? Well, one, these 10 different hooks really show the city in a beautiful way that is perfect design. And it comes from Matthew Mercer because he's a freaking genius, right? And man, that dude, wow. Yeah. How can you have so much talent in one person? It's ridiculous, right? So all this is going on, right? But the other thing is Twitter. We're going to talk about Twitter, right? I know y'all hates Twitter, or a lot of you hate Twitter, right? Twitter is important. So if you're not aware, Twitter is hugely important in American politics. And the reason why is it's powerful. And why is it powerful? Well, the most important thing in the world, the most powerful thing in the world right now is specifically communication, right? And the reason why so many super intelligent people are on Twitter, like journalists, like the smartest people are on Twitter. That's the thing, right? Most people are on Facebook. The smartest people are on Twitter, right? And the reason why is they're like, hey, you got a point? Make it, and make it fast. This world is fast. You've got to make your point fast, right? Like, go, that's why I never do it. I haven't done a video over 20 minutes in, I don't know, 5 years, right? You got to be fast. And frankly, a lot of my videos now are under 10 minutes, right? You got to make your point fast, okay? So all that's important. And here's the kicker. I'm really falling in love with elements of Dungeons and Dragons that can be tweeted, right? And we should start doing this. Like, tweet a non-player character, tweet your player character, tweet your encounters, right? Tweet your magic items, right? And tweet your monster, right? tweet. I use this thing called Clear. It's a really big deal. It's in my tabletop role-playing game. It's Catalysts, which is characters, right? That's player characters, right? And then locations, entities, that's non-player characters, artifacts, and relationships, right? And so basically, your player characters, your locations, your non-player characters, your artifacts, your magic items, put them all in 144 letters or less, right? Get to your point fast and tweet them out, right? Like, and this is cool too because you're going to build it for your game, but you're going to share it with the world. And that's the model today, right? Use it on Wednesday, share it with the world on Saturday, and then another dungeon master is going to use your content on Tuesday, right? That's the model, right? Build it, share it, right? It don't matter, like, if it doesn't go past your own table, it doesn't matter, in my humble opinion, right? So I was just blown away by this simple thing. You will find this on page 53 of Call of the Netherdeep. It is gorgeous and important and special and beautiful and just spectacular. And Mercer is throwing it down. Mercer is building the best Dungeons & Dragons books that are out there. And these Dungeons & Dragons Critical Role books are massively important. That's my take. What do you think of these encounter sketches? Do you use these? What do you think of the idea of taking everything we're doing for our Dungeons & Dragons games, just tweeting them out, sharing it, making sure that that our glory, our awesomeness doesn't end at our own table, but goes to the next level? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.